Welcome to the Dave Palma Show, the podcast that revives, restores, and awakens your innermost capabilities.
You have the training and the talent to succeed, but do you have the guts to fail?
I love what I do. When you love what you do, you want to be the best at it.
Today is about the power of you. You will change the world.
Find your path to success through the journey of those who have succeeded. And now, your host, Dave Palma.
Hi, welcome back to the Dave Palma Show. And with me in this episode, I have a licensed professional counselor, board certified art therapist, radiant life coach, published author, professional artist, and creative entrepreneur. Kate King, welcome to the Dave Palma Show.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here with you.
Very excited to have you here as well, Kay. Very excited to have you here. And yeah, so we had this conversation that you're right in Colorado, which is actually quite a adventure type place with all the mountains and everything, isn't it? It's quite a good place for well-being, isn't it? I think.
Yes. Yeah. And this season specifically, we're spending all our time skiing.
Oh, well, yeah, of course. Yeah. With all the mountain, you're going to catch some of the snow there as well, aren't you? So that's pretty good. Yeah. Amazing stuff. But let's get going with what you actually do. You're actually a therapist and a coach, life coach together at the same time. How do you know when to switch between one and the other?
It actually came to me sort of recently. It was at the kind of the tail end of the really intense part of the pandemic when I had been feeling this unwellness in our society and really wanting to help as much as I could. There was so much mental illness and people were really struggling, and I got myself quite burned out. I ended up taking a sabbatical to reflect on what worked and what didn't work and why I got to that place of such a crispy burnout. And I discovered that too many years, 15 years in the mental health field of really high acuity, severe mental health was not sustainable for me going forward for my entire career. I really appreciate the growth mindset, the kind of holistic well-being that's inherent in working from a more stable platform to build the next level of wellness, whereas mental health can sometimes feel like it's really burning and circuitous in its repetition. And so I realized that there was an opportunity for me to branch into that new realm of what I call radiant life coaching.
Yeah. Right. Well, fantastic. Because that's what I really want to find out about is what radiant life coaching is. I've got a list of questions there from your agent that is sent to me, Dave Lewis, or C.S. Lewis, I think is the actual name of your publicist. But I really want to really find out first what radiant means. What is it that?
Wow. It's a good question. I put definitions for radiant on the first page of my book because people want to know. I think we all have a sense for what it means, but the way that I associate radiance is something that starts kind of as a small, warm glow, and it grows to the point that it expands to degrees beyond the self and towards other people. And that's really the key of what this work is starting the inner healing and the inner growth work and fanning that flame and really nurturing it so that it can expand beyond yourself and create a positive ripple effect in your family, your community, and even the world.
Yeah. And me being a firefighter, I can feel that already because I know what radiant heat feels like as a firefighter rather than a fire which is raging and fluffing and, radiant is more of a, kind of warm, nice, mellow kind of spreading out kind of feel like you feel in the sun of, a nice sun, not too hot and, burning, but yeah. So I get what you mean because sometimes fire is used a lot in, personal development world, but using radiant rather than fire, which probably makes sense with what you're talking about, really, actually.
I think so, because if you think about a raging fire, it could be overwhelming. It could be unstable. Maybe you get bursts of it and then other times it burns out. But if you think radiant glow, it's really steady, sustainable. You know how to sort of nurture it and you learn how to fan it when it starts burning low. And if it starts getting too expanded, you can kind of bring it in a little bit. So
yes, exactly. Yeah, I think because I've got a book called Firefighting from Within, and I do use the analogies and stories from when I was a kid, as well as up to leaving because I wrote it just as I was retiring. The idea was to do some motivational speaking. Then I got certified as a coach. I like to call myself a personal coach, really. But like you could as well, because you do a lot of things. You don't just do life coaching, but, and it, you know, it's kind of, assisted published, I was to say, not just self-published, but assisted published, because kind of hybrid, if you like. Dave's explaining how to put out pockets of fires in your life, which is more like what you're saying. It's like, well, some of it is raging. It's like out of control, you know, and I use analogies. You see what I mean? Like that. And not in a way that the person developed world using it is keep that fire burning, because if you do, it could go out of control. And I know what fires do, you know. I don't want to spoil them using that word, but you know, radiant probably, it's more of a warm feel that you want to sit down the campfire and feel that under control fire with the warmth, you know, as long as you don't let it get out of control and burn the whole forest kind of thing, you know. That probably makes sense, doesn't it?
Yes. And I really think that everyone has their own pilot light inside of them, like the core essence of their life force energy and what they're here to do. And, you know, they can show up in their life when they're at their greatest potential. And it's really about taking that pilot light and helping it to radiate, because you can live your entire life with your pilot light burning low. And I think many people do in our societies that are focused on hustle and, you know, status and all of these, you know, illusory materialistic goals, when really we have this power inside of us and we all have the capacity to be able to work with it. But sometimes we just need a guide. And so that's what my work is supposed to be for. Fantastic.
No, that all makes sense. And I feel that energy already flowing in my body, you just talking about it. But anyway, there we go. So let's see if we can get somewhere with this. Personal development work is challenging and time consuming. So why should anyone go through the pain and hardship of looking at themselves so deeply?
Yeah, sometimes it can be really challenging to see yourself in reflection as you do this work. But I think the piece that's so gratifying is the growth that comes from meeting yourself in a really honest place, where you're either looking at the relationships that aren't working, the patterns that you keep perpetuating that are ultimately keeping you small or holding you back. You may even be looking at lineage trauma and ancestral healing and family dynamics. And when you start to look at these things, it does feel uncomfortable, but the discomfort is that spark that spurs us into action and change. And if we live our lives too comfortable, we never grow. And so I think that's why we welcome the challenge of this work and the time commitment it takes, because it really is an initiation into a new, better, brighter life that has, you know, more potential when these layers are healed.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. So, can anyone live a radiant life in a world, especially in this world now that we live in, where so much is going wrong? And certainly, you know, we've had, I mean, I've got a politics degree as well, but obviously I look at causes now, you know, being a coach, you want to kind of try and help get peace in the Middle East and stop the Ukraine war and have a, you know, stop inflation and stuff like that. There's a lot of, you know, pandemics cause so much problems, like you said yourself. So, I mean, you know, how does this work? How can you live a life like what you were explaining?
I think it's possible. I think it just takes intention, because there's so much groupthink around these really highly charged issues. And our brains do get a dopamine drop when there's controversy and when there's drama. And I think as long as we're really mindful of that and we choose to sort of live in a state where we're not getting sucked in, then we have the choice for what we would rather be doing with our lives. And we all have a store of energy for each day that we feel burned out at the end of the day and we need sleep. But what we do during that day is our choice. And if we're unconscious and on autopilot with it, we will get sucked into the drama. And especially these days, there's so much that can be upsetting if you expose yourself to it. But if you don't, and if you allow yourself to see that this is your day and you have this choice with what you do with it, then you get to decide if you want to spend it feeling upset and sucked into the controversy, or if you want to make something meaningful from it. And when one person decides to step into this radiant life and to live with more intention, more authenticity, deeper integrity, more healing, they actually serve to model that behavior for other people. And so when other people see somebody living that way, it's really attractive force. And the contrast between that and all of that other drama is palpable. One of them feels so much more satisfying and so much more freeing than the other. And that's how we start to spread that ripple effect.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that's great explanation. And so I'm going to throw a curveball about my own life, really. I mean, I have a heart condition, and I had to kind of retire eventually from the fire service. So when I went sideways and upwards a bit. And then during the pandemic, I got dengue fever out in the tropics in the Philippines, and then unfortunately got diagnosed with incurable cancer in my prostate, which is now in remission, thank God. So obviously there's lots of other problems I've had, but use my own personal development things to use, but obviously different coaches can look at other coaches' work to help. So how your book helped me? Else people would like me who's got different issues in their lives going on.
Yes, I think so. We all have issues, large and small, and at different times in our lives, there are sort of combustible issues that come to the surface, like you've just explained in your life. And I think when things feel really challenging, when we're presented with something that challenges our body or challenges our mind or even our belief system about existence and death and what this life is supposed to be about, that's a really rich, fertile ground for growth, because it opens us up to switching off of the autopilot that we're on when we're feeling healthy and really steady. And it puts us into this place where suddenly we get to rethink everything we think we know. We get to restructure our beliefs. We get to connect with people who are focused on a different level of health that may not look so typical. And it's a really good entryway for this type of work because you're open to it than you may have been before, because you need it now. You're looking for more support because things feel harder. And when you look for more support, it's almost like walking into a hallway and seeing a ton of different doors that are all possibilities for what support can look like, what that healing can look like. And even if it's not healing to the degree that the cancer will go away, it's healing to a level that maybe you can learn how to live with it or befriend the cancer or learn how to sort of dance with it and welcome it into your life and build some kind of spiritual foundation for understanding why these lessons are presenting in your life at this time.
Yes, no, absolutely. It's a bit difficult when it's in remission, but if it clears up again, then I will dance with it and talk to it a little bit more kind of. Having said that, so you say in your book that you walk your talk. What do you mean by that?
I think you can feel the difference when someone is teaching something theoretically and when someone teaches from a place of experience. And I teach from a place of real contact with this work. Actually, this work was developed because of my own trauma healing and personal work journey. And the reason I know it works is because I live this stuff and personally practiced everything I teach. And then I've seen it fan out into the clients and audiences that I've worked with over these 15 years. And I see it working with them too. So it's really coming from a grounded place of my not asking you to do anything that I haven't already done or won't do myself. And I think
that's how counselling works, isn't it? I think part of the counselling training is that you go through counselling yourself, don't you? So with this work you're doing now, you look at, and it's more genuine that way, isn't it?
I think so. And I think it allows for a couple of benefits. The first piece is when I have done so much of my own work, I am not going to be triggered by the work that other people need to do myself. In there.
It can be, because I know, as I say, as a firefighter, lots of firefighters at the moment in London, a lot of firefighters got a £50 million payout. Not of one firefighter, I mean a lot, maybe 100, 114 for a big fire that happened, one of the biggest since World War II in Grenfell. I think you heard about that. 72 floors, story block, and they got injured, mostly psychiatric injuries, and then they got a big payout recently at the High Courts. So what I'm trying to say is, even if you're trying to help people, you're still going to get triggered yourself from it, aren't you? And affected by it.
When you've done your own work, you grow your own threshold to sit with the pain of others. And it's really impulsive and instinctual for people who haven't done their own work to try to fix other people or make them feel better and placate them. But when you've done your own work, it's just easier to hold space and observe. And that's a real skill set that I think you can only gain when you have done your own work and when you know how to resonate on that level of common suffering, but also common hope and common potential. So that's one really great thing. The other thing too is when you've experienced really hard things in your life and actually faced them head on, it grows your compassion for other people because you understand the power in this work and also the courage it takes to do this work. And so it really allows me to see the courage and the bravery in people who are doing this and hold a container for them in support, more depth and kind of encouragement and alchemy for them in this work that they do.
Fantastic. Great. Well, I mentioned about being more genuine and feels and stuff like that, but your book teaches a concept called authentic integrity. So this seems to be a challenging way to live our modern world. So why should a person choose this path?
Well, I really like both authenticity and integrity as words and as concepts to weave into the lifestyle. But I actually think they're more powerful when they come together in a synergy of one concept. And I think about authenticity as what is real and integrity as what is true. And so if you're living with only one of those things, then that's great, but it might not be complete. And so when you live with the intention of showing up with how you truly are in the moment, your real self with no masks through authenticity and the truth of who you are with your value system and your beliefs, and you're showing up honestly with integrity, then that creates this kind of double power pack punch of showing up in your life in a way that you can feel really good about and other people can trust that it doesn't have covert agendas and it's a really attractive force for meaningful aligned relationships, which I think we all really want. But some people very much struggle because they're not showing up with that authentic integrity. So they're actually attracting relationships that don't have that realness or that truth.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they're not. So I think when you show up that way, that's what you tend to attract and receive as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I know you probably don't like this, but obviously my young days used to say, oh yeah, you got a nice girl under your arm, but really she's just a trophy, it's not a real genuine relationship going, but that's pretty much what it is, isn't it? And you suddenly find you've got trouble down the road somewhere, because it's just not genuine and authentic, is it? The relationships. That's what the trophy bit means,
Absolutely. And when we're disingenuous and we have low integrity in our relationships, there comes a tipping point at some point where they're not working anymore. And if it's because you haven't been showing up with authentic integrity, that's something that you have to be accountable for. And if the relationship disintegrates because of that, then that is a really powerful lesson for your future relationships that, okay, so maybe we need to infuse them with more realness, more trueness so that they can be more sustainable and function in the way that relationships are really meant to.
Yeah, great. Fantastic. Well, we'll just slightly go a little bit off, not on a tangent, but just something else that you do. You're a board certified art therapist. And what's that all about? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So art therapy is a branch of mental health support and treatment that requires a master's level training and supervision. And yes, it requires all kinds of, processes to get credentialed. So it's equivalent to being a licensed therapist, just in a creative realm. And it can be used in a clinical setting for the use of art in ways that are analytical and used for processing and supporting mental health. And it can also be used in non-clinical settings as a way to just access more expression and tap into the unconscious in ways that art really give you a powerful ability to do. Yeah. So I have really enjoyed incorporating different creative processes with my clinical experience and creating a fusion of my own. That's been very exciting.
Yeah. I know I've got an 8-year-old daughter and I'm like a single parent with her at the moment, actually, but she likes to, when she's angry or something, girls get like that, or no, kids only 8, boys and girls, but she just wants to draw, paint, and she loves it anyway, whether she or not, she gets creative like that. And I think she just started a Scouts Cubs actually, and she got this from a charity thing called Mindfulness. It's a colouring book. So, she likes to do things like that. I think that's a good idea, isn't it? That's actually designed for adults, but she still does it, and she's like not even 9 years old yet. So
it works from, the pre-verbal age of really small children all the way up through our oldest seniors. Art is a really healing modality, and it's very regulating for the nervous system.
Regulation.
Yeah, it allows sort of a backdoor into the unconscious, and it allows us to see different facets of ourselves that we're ready to work with through the external projection onto paper, so that we can talk about our work in a productive way, and it doesn't have to sit so heavily as with talk therapy. It's really easy to avoid certain topics, but when you created an image, it creates a certain type of portal for you to talk about what's going on with you through the metaphor of what shows your artwork. So it's beautiful for all ages.
Well, I struggled with art actually, but my brother, who's a year older than me, when he was a young age, and up to, growing up, he was quite good at it actually. So some people got a flair for it, some haven't really, but it makes sense what you're talking about anyway. And that will be in my mind now, what you're talking about when she does pick out. I was like, Daddy, look, and I know what's going through your mind now. So
absolutely. And I think, you don't have to be so focused on creating a masterpiece, even for someone like yourself who doesn't identify as an artist. Just simply creating lines and shapes that resonate with what you feel in that moment can be really soothing and expressive. And then you can throw it away if you don't attach to it. You don't have to keep it.
I must admit, I did used to doodle a lot as a kid, so that's probably a form of that, isn't it, really? Doodling is something coming from your mind you're not realising, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's your nervous system soothing itself.
Yeah. Fantastic. It's been a really great conversation with you. Would you like to say anything else to my audience? I know we're finishing a bit earlier than what we said, but...
Just really grateful for the space to talk, and I hope you'll check out my book if you're interested in deep dive into your self-healing journey. It's called The Radiant Life Project, and it is available wherever books are sold, and may it be a guiding light for you as you travel your personal growth and healing journey.
Fantastic. And where can they find you and this book?
So the book is everywhere online where you buy your books. You can also get it at my website, which is theradiantlifeproject.com. And on my website, you can also find information about the retreats that I host and the different workshops.
Okay.
How to work with me one-on-one.
Yeah.
I've also got an archive there of articles I've written about this work and podcast conversations, a lot of free resources for people to delve into this. So feel free to go to theradiantlifeproject.com and connect with.
That's all for this episode. Thanks for listening. And remember, if you want to support what we do, then share, subscribe, and leave a review over on Apple Podcasts. Or head over to my website, davepalmer.com, and click on Rate Show. Well, that's all for now, but I'll see you in the next episode of The Dave Palmer Show.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.